Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of VisionAir Talks. Today, I'm truly excited to be joined by someone who has played a major role in shaping the modern balloon industry. Steve Jones is not only an extraordinary balloon artist who has created breathtaking large scale installations around the world, but he is also the founder of Float, one of the most influential balloon conventions in the entire world today. Through his work as an artist, educator, and event creator, Steve has helped inspire thousands of balloon artists and push the boundaries of what can be done with balloons. Hi, Steve. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's so nice to have you with us in this interview, in this serious Visionary Talks. And I'm so glad that you are here with us, and I'm honored that you are here. So, first of all, for the viewers, I want you to introduce yourself in some words, if you can.
Sure. First of all, I'm very flattered to be here. So thank you very much for that. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, for those of you that I've not had the pleasure yet of meeting, my name is Stephen Jones. I am the executive director of the Float Convention, of Aloft Streaming, of Fulcrum, several other events and projects that go on throughout the balloon industry. But in addition to that, I am the owner of a day-to-day balloon decorating company outside Seattle, Washington called Balloon Designers, which is
Amazing.
how I'm addressed and attired now. So yeah. And I
Yeah,
and I want to apologize to all your viewers because I don't have a glamorous backdrop. I don't have anything all set up. I lied. I'd be lying if I said it never looks like this. So I'm fine. So, it is what
that's fine. You don't want to see what I have at the back of the screen.
I understand.
Okay, so let's start. My first question is I want to start from the beginning. How did you actually get to the balloon world?
My journey into balloons actually started at a start your own business trade show. It was the weirdest thing. It really was. It was very strange. Um my father-in-law at the time um called my then wife and I and said, I was just at this trade show and I just saw the coolest thing. And I think you guys would really be into it because it seems really creative and it seems really fun. And my wife at the time was asking about wanting to start some kind of business or project on the side that we could make some extra money with and stuff because we were young and we were poor and all that stuff. And it turned out to be one of those machines that you stuff the gifts inside of balloons with. And and naturally, I got extremely excited by the whole thing. I just thought it was really cool and really fun. And but of course, she was much more critical than I was, and much more sinister. When not what's the I'm not the word I'm looking for. Cynical was the word I was looking for. And of course, I could argue sinister too, but that's a different story. Um, but yeah, she was a lot more critical about it and everything else. And we finally decided to get the machine, which then led to balloon decor and everything else. And I over time just completely became enamored with the industry. So yeah.
Wow, amazing. That's truly interesting story. So you build a lot of large scale designs. Um, when you approach to something big, what change in the way you are thinking about the design?
Um, well, I guess it just depends. I mean, initially the the first rule of thumb that I've ever gone by was something that was taught to me by Bill McFadden, God rest his soul, many, many years ago, which was if the client doesn't recognize it immediately, you failed. And so, you and I have both seen a lot of pieces by people that you're like, what is it? And they go, oh, it's a bear, or it's a this and that. And you're like, oh, I see it now. But it's not, you know what I mean? It's not that kind of thing. So um for me, it's all about detail. It's all about it's the little once you have the initial concept of it figured out, then it's adding those little touches that people connect with individually, um, that really make the difference. The one that strikes me just off the top of my head was we did a big black cat for Halloween, like a 20 foot tall, kind of thing. And I mean, the scale of it, I mean, honestly, I mean, I was very proud of it. I love the scale. I love the look. I loved everything about it. But the client could not stop talking about the fact that it had white feet. Like the black cat had white paws, right? Like underneath. And she just was like, oh my God, the little feet. Oh my God, they're so. And I just never thought in a million years that would be what connected with her. But that's what it was. And it's those details, it's those little things you can put in that I think make a lot of difference.
I can't agree more because um, in my designs or the exhibition that I made,
Mhm.
all the time I am seeing in my eyes that the public, the audience, that they are not balloon artists, are amazed about the details, and
Yeah, it's always the
of
details.
course the overall, but the details, it's something really special. Oh, look how they made this one and this one. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so because you just never know what your audience is connecting to. And so the more options you give them without overdoing it, of course, you don't want to and that's always been one of my problems too, is that I'll overthink something and try to do way too much detailing. And then I have to stop back and go, okay, wait a minute, hold on. I'm wasting time. Now I'm wasting energy, whatever, that kind of thing. So yeah.
So uh, this is leading me to the other question. When you starting to plan a big build, a big structure, do you putting your full focus or attention to the actual build, or to the feeling that you want the audience, the people that will see your design, to feel the
I think
experience
anybody that
itself?
I think anybody that's ever worked with me would agree with me when I say that it's all about the emotional impact way before anything else. Um, because I was watching a documentary about Walt Disney and Roy Disney, right? Walt and his brother Roy. And Walt was the dreamer and Roy was the bookkeeper. And I the whole time I'm like, I got you, Walt. I got you, Walt. I got you, Walt. I got it's like so it's that whole notion of, yeah, it's the impact, it's the idea, it's the creativity. And then at some point I'm like, oh crap, okay, I've got this idea. Now how the hell do I make it actually happen? So yeah, I would absolutely agree that I focus way more energy on creating the impact, the emotional connection first. But I ultimately believe that I have enough knowledge in my head that no matter what idea I come up with, I can probably figure out how to make it work. So it to me, it's that impact that's way more important. Um, I have clients to this day that still talk about, we did an install yesterday, and the client was just going on and on and on about something we did for her 6 years ago. So it's that you've had that, and that was it. It was the emotional aspect of it. So yeah.
I think that first of all, I can't agree more, because I'm seeing, when client come to me and ask me for a design, um, when I'm speaking about the colors, the design itself, it's interesting. But when I starting to ask the client about what he wants to achieve, what is goal from the design itself, it the ideas that I had, that I have, when I ask him that, it's tremendous. It's something else. You get a new ideas if you just ask your client what is goal, what he want to achieve from the design.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. No, it's always, and what's always interesting is even the ones that give you a very clinical direction, right? Even the ones that give you the direction of, okay, we want functionality as opposed to ambiance or what have you. When you provide them with both functionality and something that really has an emotional impact, then they get it. And then the next time, now you've changed their way of thinking as to how they're looking at it. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
That's great. I actually really agree with you about that because uh, in our industry, we I think I don't know if most of the artists, but some of the artists forget that the actual uh, issue about balloons, it's not to make a competition between one to another artists, but to make an art and to make people happy, and of course the client happy. And the way to achieve it, it's to listen to your clients.
Yeah, I would agree. There is some, I mean, obviously there's always going to be some level of competition in the industry. As long as people are involved, there's always going to be some level of competition. Whether it's posturing within the industry, whether it's posturing in your local markets and that kind of thing. So that's just the nature of commerce and business. But I agree with you. At the end of the day, if everyone just focuses on making their clients happy, it's amazing how much smoother everything goes in general. Yeah.
Definitely,
At the
definitely.
same time, you also have people that the danger right now, I think you would agree with this too, is the fact that there's a lot of people out there right now. Again, please don't anybody watching this, please don't misunderstand me. I don't have a problem with newbies at all. This industry needs new people. We need new blood. We need new ideas. I mean, that's the bottom line. But what's really dangerous is somebody who's brand new with a little bit of knowledge, because then they start biting off really big things that they ultimately horribly do. And then it sets everybody back, X amount of time. But I will say that the nice thing since I've been, because this summer will be my 30th year doing balloons. The nice thing, at least, that I think that I've experienced is that we are no longer constantly fighting the notion that balloons are cheap. I mean, there's still people doing cheap balloons. Don't misunderstand. There's always going to be, as long as balloons are inexpensive. But I think the whole idea of balloons being, the bargain basement decor idea has definitely altered, and I'm very glad to see that.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I'm seeing a lot of new artists or new balloonists that when they getting to calculate the price for their clients, they're just putting inside the actual price the balloons and the driving costs, um, and they get to a cheap, really cheap price for the clients, and it's affect us because when client wants a real art and they will turn to us, they will say, why you are so expensive. We have other artists that is half price as you. And the real fight for us is to show them to that we are doing art and they are not artists. They can't do whatever they think they know to do. They tell you that they know how to do.
And that's something too that I think our industry does a disservice on. And I've seen this again over the course of 30 years. I've seen it happen a lot. And what the industry doesn't really like to talk about is you look at veterans, right? You look at people that have been doing balloons. I mean, everybody that I know, everybody that I've grown up with, they're all looking for an exit strategy. They're all looking to get out, um, one way or another, right? Um, it's physically demanding on you. I mean, I'm 57 years old. Doing pulling an all-nighter now is very different than it was 10 years ago, pulling an all-nighter, right? So you have that. You've got it's a physically demanding job, and you are constantly I've said this on my podcast before. You are constantly at running a small business is not everybody loves it. It's a very glamorous thing. It's a very, it's that whole romantic idea of entrepreneurship and everything else. But what nobody tells you is you are going to battle every day. You are going to war every day because you are battling outside forces, you're fighting inside forces, you're fighting, you know, taxation, you're fighting the government, you're fighting whatever it is that you're dealing with at that particular moment. And the only way to win is to ultimately surrender. and like, okay, I'm done now. That's it. I mean, it's something that I think our industry needs to spend more time on, is not just here, buy these balloons, but more of here's how you sustain yourself. And how do you sustain yourself against people that are offering to do the work for half price?
I think that the COVID um, um, really affect the way um, artists in our industry look at their businesses. Um, like they was affected by I think most of the low price artists, um, um, most of them like running out of the business. Um, so in some way, we need like events um, like we had in the COVID to clean the area, to clean the industry, and um, to that the real artists that will stay in the industry will be the best of the best, or someone that will be commit to the industry itself. Don't you think
Yeah,
like this?
the experience that what I saw during COVID was a little bit different. Um, and I've shared this before too. When the initial outbreak hit and everybody was shut down and the whole bit, the companies in my market, in my area, okay, and from what I've seen around the US, the companies that were really strong got stronger. So the companies that already had a really strong web presence, the companies that already had a strong clientele base, they were able to take advantage of that downtime during COVID, and they realized, look, this is okay, yeah, I can shut down, or else I could work really hard to be ready when we reopen, right? And that's what a lot of veterans did. A lot of established people said, I'm going to bust ass. I'm going to post on Pinterest 1,000 times today. I'm going to build up my SEO. I'm going to do all this stuff. Then you had all the brand new people, the tidal wave of brand new people who started doing balloons, and they're going to succeed by price point alone. There's always going to be a market for people that are charging 50 to $100. There's always going to be business for those people. They don't know that they're not making money. They just think they just see the end result. They don't care about the rest. The people that really suffered here in the US that I saw were the mid-level businesses. These were the people that had been around 5, 10 years, maybe. They had just in that in-between point where they were still doing it semi part-time. They were hoping to leap to full-time soon. And they're the ones who got lost in the shuffle. And they're the ones who ultimately closed down. If they didn't have a spouse that was paying the bills, or they didn't have that kind of financial support from a family member, they didn't survive. And I know a lot of people that didn't make it who were in that kind of a position. So I'm very blessed that our business was strong enough to be one of those top runners. Um, and I didn't really start feeling the ankles. I didn't start feeling the newbie hits until about 2 years into the process. But now you can't ignore it now.
Yeah,
It's hitting everybody now. So, but you either keep going or you quit. It's one of the two. So,
yeah, definitely. I can't agree more. Okay, so looking back, what is the toughest large scale installation that you have ever had?
um, well, I guess it depends on what you define. If you're talking about a client situation, um, God, what would that have been? Well, okay, that my most challenging and my favorite, probably my favorite job of all was I had been hired by the Halloween and Party Show in Houston, Texas, to come down and make a 20-foot birthday cake. Um, but I was told up front that they weren't going to allow me to rig anything because they weren't going to pay a rigger. They
Oh,
weren't going to pay a rigger.
Wow.
So I had to have, but so again, everything just had to be built from the floor, right? So, okay, well, that's fine. Well, the other problem, of course, is that they also made it very clear they weren't going to cover um, this was like a first time thing. So even though they were paying me to come out and do it, they weren't covering any of my expenses. And you also have to understand, I was now in a situation where I had just moved here to Seattle. I didn't have any established clientele yet. So basically, like if I could get work, I was taking it no matter what the deal was, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
so and so I basically they made it pretty clear. They're like, you got to have to bring whatever you want. And I'm looking at the shipping and receiving charges of this venue, and I'm like, oh my God, it's going to cost me almost as much as what I'm getting paid for this job. So I realized that I was going to have to come up with a way to build this structure completely freestanding without a single base plate,
Oh, wow.
without a single pole,
That's really
without
tough.
and obviously not using helium to blow the whole thing up because that would just be cost wise insane. And so I am so proud of myself that I actually came up with a concept using linking, right? Because I'm a linker. Everybody who knows me knows I love to do linking stuff. And I created this 20-foot cake almost entirely out of links. And it's so funny because at the end, I mean, sections were collapsing. I mean, it wasn't and I was exhausted and I'm literally like, oh my God, it's not gonna work. 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 And then I got to that bottom row. And as we put the final 5 inch in that bottom row, boop, it all just stood perfectly up. And I stood there and I just bawled my eyes out. I was like, because I'd been working for days and I was like, this isn't gonna work. I'm so embarrassed. Blah, 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 blah. And then boom, it was damn near perfect. The only helium in the whole thing were the candles. The candles were helium, but everything else was all free. There was not a single. There were 40 helium balloons in the whole thing,
Oh my
and
God. That's
and I was
amazing.
very, very proud of that. Very proud of that. But I spent weeks prepping it and coming up with the concept and trying to build it, and then building. I actually didn't at that time. I didn't have a workshop, so I actually had to borrow a client's work, like their garage. I actually made a very good client went over to their garage and took up some of their space and marked stuff on the floor and everything. And yeah, but it worked, and I was very, very proud of it. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. Look, when I'm seeing this is something really unique in VisionAir Talks in this series that I'm speaking with a lot of. I have a real good conversation with great artists from around the world, and the unique thing that I'm seeing in each chapter, it's the situation where they don't have a choice but to improvise, and they are getting the best of them in this situation. It's amazing. It's amazing. And also, when I have my big builds, all the time I have situation like this, and most of the time I think 90%, 90% the result is it's perfect.
Yeah. No, I agree. And let's toast to you. Your projects are these new projects you're working on are exquisite. They're
Thank
great.
you. Thank you very
Fantastic.
much. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Look, I looked at some of your designs several years ago, and I was in shock. The Star Wars robot
Yeah. The
was
walker.
completely insane, and the dinosaur. I think I saw your dinosaur. It's something else, and it's really inspiring. So I admire your work as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, the walker was a fun one. That was a fun piece. That was 15 feet tall. I apologize. My dog is throwing in commentary. I'm sure he has a different favorite piece.
That's
That's
fine.
fine. But yeah,
The robot, the Star Wars robot, it was built by Twisting. Yeah, it was
it was links. It was
Twisting build.
linking balloons. Yeah,
Oh wow,
yeah, it was all
amazing.
links. Yeah, that was a fun piece. that was yeah, and I fully admit that was I've never that was not a paid gig at all. That was a um there was a Star Wars influencer who has a huge following on social media who lives in my town, in this little town in Washington. And he was putting together a trade show kind of thing. And he had seen my work. It was, hey, do you want, I'll give you a booth. Can we do something fun? And I said, yeah, sure. And again, Star Wars, I'm a big fan. So it was absolutely like, okay, this for me is fan art. I'm more than happy to do it. Um, I have thankfully been paid to make walkers since. Um, but that's the whole point of using that photo. It's like, okay, I've never had anybody pay me to make one that big, but I came close 2 summers ago. We did a 12 or 13 foot one. That was nice. But that one was outdoors.
Oh, wow.
That one was crazy. Yeah, the client insisted on it being outside, and I was like, oh God. And of course, that was a very breezy day to make matters worse. So it did great.
Amazing.
Did
Amazing.
great.
Truly
Yeah.
amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
I started questioning my judgment after a while because I'm like, shit, should we really have done this outside? Like, oh my God, like what am I doing? And it's summertime. So, you're every time you get something set, you hear a pop or whatever up top because something got too hot, and then you're going up and fixing it and everything. And but thankfully, the event starts and everything went great from that point on. So yeah, I was very happy.
That's actually amazing. Okay, so today, with your experience that you have, what separates for you? What separates a good artist from a truly great one?
Hmm. Um, well, I think of the people that I consider to be truly great because I look at people different ways. There's great artists and there's great business people, right? Um, and but if we're specifically looking at an artist, it's the vision. It's the vision and it's the ability to. I think the biggest thing about it is it's the ability to not say I can't do it. You look at some of the work that Lily Tan does. You look at some of the work that Guido does. You look at some of the work that Alexander Solomon does, right? These massive pieces. And you just think to yourself, I mean, there's people there was a time in my life where I would have said, "Oh, you can't do that." Yeah, you can. Now I say, will the client pay for that? And that's where I'm at because
The true question. Yeah.
I will admit, I have reached a point in life where now yeah, if a client ain't paying for it, I'm not doing it. And it doesn't mean I don't enjoy it, right? It doesn't mean I still don't have the passion, but I know I have now gathered a tremendous appreciation for the amount of work that goes into it. And not only that, the amount of time it takes away from other things. And because I do have so many projects going on, um, I no longer have the ability to say, okay, sure, I'm going to do this and not get paid what I'm entitled to be paid. Right.
It's all about priority. Um,
It has to
yeah.
be. That if you had asked me this question 15 years ago, you would have gotten a different answer. I would have been all excited. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, no, I've learned. I have that same father-in-law that I mentioned at the beginning. He tried to explain to me the power of labor and time years ago. And he was like, I really think you're not charging enough for this, what you're doing. And I said, well, what does it matter? I mean, if I'm sitting at home in my underwear making it, what does it matter? And he goes, son, it matters. He goes, trust me, it matters.
It's the way that the clients are looking at you. Um, uh, several years ago, I had a course that I made, and I have a lot of students, by the way. And some of them ask me all the time, why we should charge more if it will affect the way that we will stay at home and we are not going to do nothing. So they prefer to make five designs in half price than one design or two designs in a week. Um,
Right.
and 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 the real thing to understand it's the way you just explained us about your way. So to understand that it's not worth to work five small jobs a day. It's the matter how the client will see you as a professional.
Yeah, I agree. We just had a situation actually yesterday. That same client that I was talking about earlier that we did an event for. Um, we did a mural concept for this client. And the um I have reached a point where I'm not playing around with these people anymore. It's like I spend hours plotting it. I spend three times the amount of labor to construct it because it's very detailed. And then it takes even longer to install it because it is so detailed. And I finally just reached a point. It's like, look, I'm not even doing these anymore unless they're paying X amount of money. And so, here it is. You're getting several $1,000s for this 8x8 mural, right? But then the president of the division, apparently during his presentation, because it's a tech company, and the president of this particular division says, you know what, AI may replace all of us one day. But then he turned around and he goes, but this guy, he's going to have a job for life. And that was one of the greatest compliments I think I've ever gotten in my life. And I
Wow.
wasn't there to hear it, but it was great. It's great to hear when my actual client tells me about it. And I just thought, but that's it. That's it. People have to see your worth. And if you don't see your own worth, nobody's going to see it.
Actually, I have a great story about that. When I started my way of big builds, when I started the big builds, it happened in India. And before of that, I didn't made nothing big before. Maybe a wall, a castle wall. That was my uh, biggest design that I ever built then.
Mhm.
Um, so a friend of mine turned to me and asked me to come to India to build 18 big designs in malls there. Um, and I'm like, oh my God, how can I do something that I never did it before? Um, but like you said, I jumped to the water, um, and I'm something like I can't be afraid of nothing. I can't allow myself to be afraid. So I jumped to the water, and it turns to be really great and amazing, and it's actually opened a lot of doors for me. And this
Mhm.
is the thing that lead me to making huge exhibitions. So
Yeah.
uh, I am agreeing with you about the way of thinking that each artist have uh, to put himself in a position without any fear to jump to the water.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to fail. Um, that's the one thing that I try really hard to share with, especially with the convention side of things. Um, I'm not afraid to try things. If they don't work, they don't work. And you just move on. But you can't, but like you're saying, when it comes to balloons, you can't be afraid to go beyond your comfort zone. You just have to make sure you're doing it responsibly and safely. I mean, that's the difference. Um, it's one thing to build a 13-foot tall Imperial Walker outside. It's another to know I've already built a 15-foot tall one inside, right? So it's things you have to take into account. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we have to be willing to stretch ourselves. And as you mentioned before too, we have to be able to roll with the punches when we find out something doesn't go the way we thought it was going to go.
That's great. That's amazing and interesting, of course. So tell me, please. When you have big design to make and you getting inside the venue,
Mhm.
what is the first thing or the first or the things that coming through your mind when you want to design a big design in a venue or whatever?
To be honest with you, the single biggest priority for us when we do an install of any kind is quickness. Um, we our clients, for the most part, they don't want you there all day. You know what I mean? They've got enough stuff to manage, they got everything else. And what I have learned over the years is that the faster we can get something in place, the more mysterious it is to the customer. Um, Even with like an arch, we when we do arch installations, like a 40-foot long arch, it's already inflated, it's already on the poles, and we can literally have it installed within 10 or 15 minutes. And it never ceases to amaze me how the clients just freak out when they realize that you just pulled up and 10 minutes later there's an arch out there because they're used to people blowing up balloons for 3, 4 hours. So for me, no matter what the installation is, and again, especially with bigger pieces, the idea is to come with as much of it pre-done as possible so that it's literally just assemble, 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 so that you spend as little time as possible there so the client is completely blown away by how fast you were able to come up with it. They have no idea how many days you've spent at the shop working on it, but they're not supposed to. They're just supposed to know the end result. And the quicker you can do it, that also sets you apart from everybody else because we talked about all the new people. They're the ones showing up with a blower and a bag of balloons, and they're sitting on the floor for 6 hours. And when I do something that's 8 times more impressive, and I did it in a fraction of the time, that reinforces my professionalism, it reinforces my expertise, and it reinforces why they hired me in the first place.
I will be happy for your opinion because what you said. Um, Don't you think that when you are making a design and the client don't see your actually work that you working in front of him, don't you think it makes him to feel like oh, it's an easy work and why charge a lot of money of it from it? Um, don't you think it's affecting in some way on the client?
Not at all, because at the end, it's impact. At the end, it's the impact of the final piece. Um, Again, I had a boss years ago tell me that the reason why we hire people to do things is because they do it better than we do, right? So most people, when they look at balloon decorating, they see it on their screens or they see a photo. They don't really experience it. And so when we walk in and complete that finished piece, and especially if we do it really, really quickly, then the impression they have is like, oh my God, again, it's the combination of the impact and the fact that we did it so easily. No, I don't think in well, I should also note, I would say 80% of my clientele are corporate. Okay. So we're dealing with people in the business world. We're not dealing with the moms having a third birthday party as much, right? We're not dealing with the mitzvah parents. We're dealing more with corporate clients. So for them, it's about time. Time is money, right? And they don't want to have to sit there and babysit you for X amount of time. And I specifically have clients that continually hire us to make really impact pieces because of the fact that we don't eat up a lot of their time during the day. And I think most of them look at that. I mean, they'll just look at the piece and they'll go, "My God, how did you do that?" That's when I can share with them, "Well, I was at the shop last night till 1 a.m. or whatever." You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. And that's when they start to put together in their head that even though I only spent X amount of time here on site, I spent days at the shop. And when people have questioned pricing, because we all get it, right? We all get people that challenge our prices. When you explain to them, I don't think you understand how many labor hours it takes to make this. And you explain to them that this particular piece takes 20 labor hours. Then, oh my God, that's like an entire day. Oh, yeah, that's almost a complete full day. Not an 8 hour day. That's 3 8 hour days. And then when they see it, that's when they get it. So yeah, I don't really have that experience. I think there's ways to counter that. There's always going to be somebody. There's always going to be somebody that goes, my God, they were here 20 minutes and we paid them $1,000. But what shocks me more than anything is when a client will pay $15,000 for a 2 hour event. you
Yeah.
know. You spend a week. You spend a
You
week.
know, actually, when I'm thinking about it, it's like lawyers. You pay a lot of money for their signature, um,
Yep.
and it's just a signature. But it's not just a signature because behind
Oh,
this signature you have a lot of years of studying and working a lot to get to this position when
yes.
one signature cost a lot of money.
Right. It's the knowledge that they bring. It's that whole notion of I signed this because now I know you're protected. Right. That's what you're paying for. And that's yeah. And I had to get over that. Yeah. Anybody that's worked with a lawyer, like in your favor, yeah, you know, it's like, it was worth it. If
Yeah,
anything,
definitely.
so it's yeah, I agree with you. It's we all get frustrated when you see the sticker price. I have a van that's being worked on right now. And I'm like, oh my God, really? How much is this going to cost? But at the end of the day, what am I able to do with it? In the end, it is what it is. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now I want to uh, um, uh, ask you, Sarah, a question about the big thing that you have, the float convention. So first of all, for the viewers that not familiar with float convention, it's one of the biggest. I think it's the biggest convention in the world
I think
for
yeah, that's right.
designers. Yeah, you agree with me? Yeah,
I think so. I do believe, I mean, I'd be ignorant to say that I know every single event that's going on in the world. But from what I've been able to assess and from what other folks around the world have shared with me, I do believe that Float is currently the largest balloon convention for decorators in the world. Yes.
amazing. So, how you started to first think about this kind of convention? What inspired you to create something like this?
It was a couple of things, to be honest with you, but the evolution of it was that in 2004 I had a similar project to yours. Now, not to the scale, right? Because at that time it was just me doing it, me and a couple, like two or three people. But it was called Balloon Town, and it was a walkthrough build experience. And we did it for 4 years, and it got bigger and bigger every year. We had more and more people working on it every year. But what would happen consistently is I first of all, I paid for everyone's food while they were working, and I paid for everyone's hotel while they were working. So people would come in from out of state and stuff, and I'd put them up, and I couldn't pay them because dear God, there was no money for that. But I could at least take care of them. And so I was losing money hand over fist over this thing. And um and the public at the time, there wasn't social media was limited to like MySpace. Nobody had really figured out yet what social media could become, right? So there wasn't this demand for experiential content. So people just didn't quite get what we were doing. But what was happening is, as we were building the last Balloon Town, people kept calling and calling, going, "Yeah, what classes are you teaching at Balloon Town?" And
Oh,
I'm like, there aren't any classes. We're not teaching. It's learn as you go. It's a build thing. Oh, that's okay. They would just hang up, whatever. And I'm like, okay. And this happened over and over and over again. And so at the end, at the time, Vitalik was sponsoring all the balloons for the project. So they had, the VP of operations was there and several other people were there at the time. Um, and I kind of turned to them and I said, "Hey, look, if I'm thinking about repurposing this. And it seems like there's more and more interesting classes rather than this concept. If I switch it over to a convention idea, is this something you'd get behind?" And they said, "Yeah, we would." And but of course, it was never my intention, and it never will be my intention for Float to be dedicated to one brand because it's not about a manufacturer, it's about the end user, it's about the artist. And so it's always been very important to me to make sure that as many businesses and as many manufacturers and as many representatives of the industry can be involved as possible, because all of this boils down to tools in a toolbox. There are Sempertex balloons that I cannot live without, right? There are Decomex balloons I cannot live without. I'm still angry over losing some of my Qualitex balloons, right?
Yeah,
Just
all of
about
that. Yeah.
right, just about every manufacturer out there, I look at that and go, I have to have Calisan Caribbean Blue. I have to have that color in my inventory. There's certain, Tough Tex, there's certain Tough Tex lines. I have to have that color. So at the end of the day, why would I narrow the event down to only one manufacturer when there's no way any one manufacturer can provide everything that everybody needs? And so, yeah. So,
So it came to life by demand of the
yes.
artists that came to you.
Yeah. It was a natural evolution. Yeah.
Wow, amazing, amazing. First of all, before I will ask you the other question that I have, I want to um, suggest all our viewers that didn't attend yet to Float, come to Float. It's amazing, amazing event, something that you will never forget. I have been there 2 years ago, and it was completely crazy. Amazing event.
It was fun. It was that you were in Chicago. We were very tight. We were very tight in Chicago. We didn't have a lot of space. Um, yeah, and we were oversold. If I'm gonna be honest, that was our biggest one so far. So yeah, it'll be the new venue has a lot more room, so we have a lot more space to do stuff, which I'm really happy about. And we are going back there again in 28. So very happy
Amazing.
about it.
So what do you think makes Float different from other conventions?
It's simple. Well, no, I take it back. I don't think it's not. It's actually not. It's a combination of factors. But at the end of the day, float. I like to think that float is a reflection of the culture of our industry. It's not every other event that's like this for the most part is produced by one manufacturer. So you get one side of things as opposed to getting as many sides as possible. But again, more than that, the focus isn't about selling somebody a product. The focus is not about convincing someone to hire a service, even though there are people there that are there. I mean, that's the point of being there, right? At the end of the day, the point is about celebrating what we do and trying to help the end user achieve that for as long as they want to do it. That's what the point behind float is. Float is, it's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's about the decorators in general. It's about the balloon professionals in general. It's about how can we help you achieve your dreams in this industry? That's what the goal is. And as a result, I think it's reflecting in the event. I think it's reflected in everything that takes place there.
That's truly interesting. Amazing to hear it from you. It's something really unique. In float is it's a big operation, I assume. So what is something behind the scenes that people don't understand about float itself, about this convention?
The biggest thing that people don't understand, and I mean everybody, is the balancing act. It's the balancing act of trying to be as fair as possible to everyone involved. Um, just for example, laying out the class schedule is one of the most challenging things to do because you have to make sure first of all that you don't have the same class, like, because you'll have teachers with overlapping topics, right? So you have to make sure that those teachers are not overlapping each other when they're teaching. At the same time, you have sponsors that you have to be responsible to, and you have to make sure that you didn't just schedule all of Batalic's classes at the same time, right? Because you got to spread those all out through the thing. You got to make sure that your teachers aren't necessarily doubled up on the same day. You got to kind of spread them out to give them time to prepare things. You can't always have the same teachers teaching in the morning and the same ones teaching in the afternoon. You have to kind of jumble that around. Then you'll get teachers that throw stuff at you like, oh, but I really wanted to take this class and now I'm teaching at the same time as this class. Then you have to go back in and go, can I shuffle that? Can I even move this person at that point? Um, there's and that goes across the board. That's not just with the classes, it's with everything. Um, you've got sponsors who think other sponsors are getting preferential treatment. You've got vendors who think they're not getting the same treatment as somebody else because of placement in the show or whatever. And it's this constant walking a tightrope. And just when you think you've fixed the problem and you're upright again, something else comes to try to knock you off the rope. And it's very it can be very overwhelming.
It's a great headache, but I'm seeing in your eyes that you are enjoying that.
I do. I actually do. I will admit that I am very passionate about this event, and probably passionate again, passionate to the Walt Disney approach as opposed to the Roy Disney approach, where I do things. I oftentimes make decisions rather impulsively without investigating. Oh, how much is that going to cost? Oh well, we just got to find a way to get 10 more people to sign up or whatever. And it's just like it's and sometimes it's definitely to my detriment, but it's yeah, it is what
So
it is. I really enjoy it.
first of all, I want to wish you as much as artist that will attend, that you wishing to yourself that will attend. I really enjoyed being there in Float. It's an amazing event.
Thank you. Thank you. Really, it was I'm very proud of it. I really am.
Okay, so for our last question, looking ahead, we talked a lot about the past, but looking ahead, what excites you? Sorry, more these days, creating large scale designs, or the convention, the education, yeah. Sorry, educating the next future, the next um, balloon artists.
Well, considering that we just acquired a school a few months ago and we are launching a new event
Oh,
next
really?
week. Yeah.
Tell us
I would
more
argue
about that.
I would argue that I am very excited about the educational side of things. Yeah. I don't get me wrong. I do I am very proud of what that I have built here in Seattle, and I'm very proud. And my former business partner, who she just recently left the company. Her father passed away very unexpectedly, and she just decided this was my moment. I need to go. I'm kind of done. Um, so for me to say it wasn't just me. I mean, A to the L to the EXA. I don't want to trigger people's devices. Um, but Ms. Rivera and myself have worked really hard to build this business to where it is, and I'm very proud of what we've done. But even she knows that at the end of the day, I am way more passionate about this new direction. And I really enjoy it. And for me, it allows me, even if I were to one day say, you know what, um, it's time for me to pack up my balloons and stop. Even if that were to occur, which again, it's going to happen at some point. It's going to happen to all of us at some point. Um, I'm still able to not only continue what I'm doing with Float and the Floativerse, but I can also stay in the industry. I get to stay in the same industry that I love so much. So for me, yeah, that's a natural progression. And I think a lot of people have already identified the fact that that's my exit strategy, right? Like I said, a lot of my friends are trying to find jobs with manufacturers or whatever, and that concerns the hell out of me because we all know that. I mean, look at Qualitex. Nobody's guaranteed.
Yeah.
And look at the other companies that have come up since, and those people are already gone and or been replaced or whatever. And I'm like, at the end of the day, if I'm going to sell my soul to somebody, it's going to be to me. And so that's why I'm very, very proud of what the Floativerse has done and to keep this going. So again, between the convention, between the streaming program, between the charitable effort, the humanitarian effort that we do every April, between the Fulcrum event, which is very business centric. Again, this new event that's coming up, and then the school and other things that we're getting ready to take over to start. Yeah, I'm really, really really proud of what we've done, and I'm really excited about where we can go. So yeah.
That's amazing. And I hope that all your dreams will come true and um, the industry will be growth because of you and all the amazing artists in the world.
I do. That is one of the biggest things for me is because the very first time I walked into a convention, my life was changed forever. I was not, I was kind of half in, right, with the first wife thing. I was kind of half in. When I walked into this convention, I was all in. I fell in love with this industry at first sight, so to speak. What I hope is that Float and other events that we produce has that same impact for other people. If we can give back in that way, that makes it all worthwhile. It really
This
does.
is all the meaning for this series to show the artist that we love this industry. We love to cooperate together to make this industry larger and larger and bigger and bigger. My actual dream is to show the world that balloons are not just a dog and a sword, but a true art and in some way, with your conventions and other big projects, I think we starting to reach this goal.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's there's always going to be dogs and swords. There's always going to be dogs and swords. There's always going to be dollar store balloons, right? They're always going to exist, and you can't stop that. The only thing you can do is excel beyond that to set yourself apart from that. And the more you're able to achieve in that direction, the more success will ultimately find you.
I can't agree more. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So we are at the end of this interview, and I want first to thank you um, for being here with me and to share your experience, your thoughts with us. And thanks a lot for Float for everything you done. And I wishing you a good day and a great year. Um, and I hope to see you soon, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time to share with me as well. And I want to thank your viewers for joining me and listening to what I have to say, because who cares what I have to say? Um, but and 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 thank you for being part of this incredible industry that gives so much. And whether you know it or not, you're making a difference, all of you. So thank you. And thank you, Kobe.
We all try. Thank you very much. Goodbye, my friend.
Take care.
Thank you for being part of this conversation. I really hope you enjoyed it. Here on VisionAir, we don't just talk about balloons. We talk about vision, courage, creativity, and the people who turn imagination into reality. So if this story inspired you, make sure to follow, subscribe, and stay connected. More episodes, more journeys, and more inspiration are coming soon. I'm Kobe, and this is Visionaire. See you in the next episode.